All right, actually Amanda, my wife, helped me record a little video on Pollen Sub yesterday because I didn't think we'd actually have the weather to throw some Pollen Sub. These are the two nukes that we've been following through a year. This is on their second year. We started with one nuke last spring and have been following it, made a split obviously. And today it's about 46, 47. The sun is out. Probably should face this way. And it's nice. It just feels warm. The bees are a little bit active. I guess we'll find out more here if or when we open it. Now it's funny though, because the bee truck broke down, and so I can't find a hive tool. And I'm sure none of you have ever experienced that, of not being able to find a hive tool. And then I went to light the smoker and realized I don't have a lighter with me. So this will be really exciting. You get to join in. Anyways, so what we're going to do is just, let's actually first take a peek here and see, because if the cluster's at the top, a little bit, but it'd be better to put that sub in the middle between the boxes. Whenever you're placing sub, you're wanting it as close, and so here's my makeshift. This is terrible form, but hey, may encourage some of you who think that you're being just so unprofessional in the way that you're managing your bees. So sometimes you just got to make do with what you got. Okay, so we know those are alive. These ones, I hear buzzing. So crack this one apart. Always best to pry at the corners of your hives, because that's obviously the strongest point. And a little smaller of a cluster, but it's okay. With this one, I'd actually almost be tempted to put the pollen sub on the top here. Interesting thing to note too, so this direction here is facing southeast, and I don't know if you notice that both clusters are towards this side because of that. Kind of an interesting thing. So anyway, so we're going to just take our pollen sub here. I'm going to prep it, and all that's involved in prepping is I'm just going to take it out of this plastic bag and put it on some wax paper. The reason we put on wax paper is obviously if the temperatures are cold outside, warm outside, the sub can melt between the frames and it'll kill the brood and all that stuff and just make a mess. So that's why we put the wax paper. A lot of pollen sub comes already between two pieces of wax paper, so you don't have to worry about this step. But I'm gonna do that real quick and then I'll come back. And we're back. And like I said, I apologize. I didn't bring the stand or anything. I wasn't expecting to do this. But anyway, so I've got it prepped. And these are good chunks. I mean, that's probably 2.5, 3 pounds. Now, because we're putting this above the bees, we're also going to make sure that we score this paper so that they have access to it. And it's just as easy as just putting some lines in it like that. That'll be fine. Working bees with one hand is especially challenging. Okay, so take the lid off. Hello, girls. Notice I'm putting the sub right over where most of the cluster is. And grab the lid. Throw the lid back on. And then I am going to, after I turn the camera off, I can use both hands. I'm going to push down the lid so that that's sealed. And then kind of the same process. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this while I'm videoing at the same time, but more or less just going to pick this up, crack it back, throw the patty in there, and then I'm going to rock the top box back and forth so that it's sealed again. So I'll be back after just a minute. I'm getting a kick out of this. So anyways, I didn't bring my veil or anything either, so I'm going to wait for them to calm down a little bit, and then I'm going to finish rocking them back and forth. But as you can clearly see, the bees are definitely alive on both of them, which is great. And Casey the guard cat. And let this be an encouragement to you that you know, you don't have to have your crap together. You can just enjoy your bees, and sometimes you just got to make do with what you got. You know, and that's actually one other. No, I'll save that for another video. But anyways, so that's kind of the application of Pollen Sub in our area. I would say probably 3 to 4 weeks before your expected major pollen flow, pollen resources. It's great to get your Pollen Sub on there and to have them start to build up and get ready for the season. So anyway, we'll catch you a little bit later. Catch you a little bit later while I get stung in the face. Okay, so a quick little video. Our weather here hasn't been permitting me to do so, but I wanted to mention about putting pollen substitute on your bees. Some people are wondering when you should do it this time of the year. And so what is this? This is the 26th February or somewhere, give or take it 24 hours or so. By the way, thankfully, or thanks to my lovely wife behind the screen there, behind the camera. Anyways, Pollen Sub, I have been wanting to get Pollen Sub on my bees for probably the last week, but the weather, there hasn't been enough of a break in the weather. And what I'd be looking for is high 40s, low 50s, you know, sunny would be great, but at least no wind, no rain. And so hopefully the next couple of days, I'll get a chance to put some sub on the bees, and I'll do a video of that. But just remember that the general rule is that Pollen Sub is exactly what it's called, the pollen substitute. If the bees already have major pollen that they're bringing in, that obviously is going to stimulate them more than Pollen Sub. However, even if the bees have good foraging early in the spring, sometimes the way our weather is, it won't allow them to take advantage of that. Kind of the same thing as the maple flow in our area. So having Pollen Sub available to them is really important so that they have that constant flow of nutrition, so that they continue to stimulate brood rearing, and that they continue to get themselves geared up for the spring. So that's kind of the update on what we're looking at wanting to do with our nukes that we're following through a season, and what you're also wanting to do. Obviously, you know, checking weights and everything to make sure that the bees are still have sufficient feed. I have had hives starve that were beautiful, but starved just because I wasn't keeping an eye on them, and that's always a stupid feeling. And a feeling that I get at least once every year, as much as I hate to admit that.
Pop quiz.
Yeah.
How much sub do you put on?
So this time of the, well, I mean, I'd say this time of the year, I'd do 3 pounds, you know, 3 or 4 pounds. You know, it's that kind of that age-old thing, if you get out of your bees what you put into it, or put into them. And yeah, I'd do 3 or 4 pounds.
Does it ever go to waste, or are they always able to more or less utilize? Do you have to remove it at any given point?
If a regular pollen flow or honey flow has started, they will usually always reject any kind of substitute. They'll usually kick it out, but what you can do is just the next time you're in the hive, just scrape it out and, you know, throw it away. Is there any, I asked Amanda to just kind of also ask questions that maybe some of you might be thinking about, but if you have any other questions kind of in this regard, just put your, whatever it's called, question. Sorry, I just got back from California late last night. Put your question in the comments and we'll try to get to it. But thanks for your time.